Hey guys, Dave the MMP back on Yola for a little DIY sailboat fun. Venus OS took me down a big rabbit hole last week. I did an online upgrade from the Venus OS in the boat, and it's connected to the internet. It took probably 2 hours to do the download from 341 to 3.66 version of the firmware. And then it wanted to do a reboot. So I did a reboot on it, of course, firmware upgrade. And it took me to the command line, which I was kind of stumped by that. I thought it would have come back to the graphical user interface. We call it GUI, but it didn't. And then when I pressed enter, of course, well, I didn't have a keyboard at the boat. So I thought, okay, I'm never going to get off the command line at the boat. So I took it home. Same thing, it rebooted, it went to the command line, to the CLI, and it asked me for a login. Okay, I was stumped because Venus OS doesn't have a login. It has password, and you set the password on the console, or you can set it on the VRM remotely. And that's so that other people can't log into it, right? Obviously, it's just like having a password set on your charge controller or any Victron equipment. It just asks you for a 6-number PIN code. And when you get the device, it's defaulted to all zeros. But on Raspberry Pi, it's a little different. It's running Linux, but it's running a Linux distro. You can modify the files, but it's a Venus distro. So login's not Pi, it's not Raspberry, it's none of that stuff. After going through the internet for a long period of time, I kind of figured out the password was root. So that was a pretty interesting exercise. I even flashed a new card with 366 off the internet. I couldn't do that at the boat because I didn't have my laptop with me. So same thing, right? So when you do it from scratch, it always takes you back to the command line, which I forgot about. So I'm going to do a whole demo on how to take a Raspberry Pi out of the box, load the Victron OS onto it, plug in some of your devices, set it all up, use PuTTY to get to the command line remotely with your laptop or your computer or your desktop. So I'm going to go through it by step and troubleshooting guide and everything else. I'm going to post that on my private members page and Patreon, and then everybody will have it, and life will be better. I'll remember. I might have to watch it again myself so that I remember this stuff a year later. All right, that's it for me. We can take a look at it and see what it looks like while it's upgraded. The reason I wanted to do this upgrade, you have to be 3.50 or higher to install a remote screen. So I want to use a tablet, and the tablet connects via the Wi-Fi off the Raspberry Pi, or it might be the Bluetooth. I'm not sure. I think it's the Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi on a Raspberry Pi doesn't work below 3.5. It works so that it can communicate with your computer or a network, but it doesn't work to connect other devices. Bluetooth works for other devices like Ruby tags and tank sensors and all that other stuff. So I'll do a complete, basically it's a course, Venus OS course, and you can use that to set up your whole system. So let's take a look at mine now. Okay, Venus OS is all back up and running in the boat. I've reinitiated my Ruby tag, which is a little temperature sensor that hangs in the cabin of the boat, tells me what the temp is. So when I'm sitting at home, I can pull up the VRM and see exactly what's happening with the boat. What's the temp inside, what's the humidity, how hard the CPU is working, which is never very hard on the Pi 4. I'm inverting right now. I've got my inverter turned on, but there's no load. And what else? I picked up this little heat shrink gun because I want to use heat shrink for my electrical. And I had another gun, which was a big gun, And every time I turned it on, it would overload the inverter. So let's see what happens when I turn this guy on. About 420 watts, 3.4 amps at 120 volts. And that's on high. So interestingly enough, when I switch it on to low, so it's got two settings here. It's got a low setting, one line. When I put it on low, it runs for a couple seconds. It trips the inverter. And it gives me an inverter overload on low. And I'm not sure why. So I'm going to have to dig into that. So as soon as I reset it, I've got an on-off switch here for my inverter. Turn it off, that should reset the inverter. Let's have a look back there. Inverter's got a green light, seems to be happy. Go back to my main page, seems to be okay. So it doesn't like low for some reason. I'm gonna have to talk to Victron about that, because it's got, 1,000 amps, and on low, it's not doing anything. I have another heat gun here that I tried it on, same thing. So it works on high, it goes up to about 700 watts, doesn't seem to care. It seems like as long as the initial load comes on really quickly, it seems to be okay. Low load seems to cause a problem. Okay guys, Dave the MMP on Yola signing out. I'll see you guys next week. Subscribe up here, give me a thumbs up, and Venus OS is all up and running again.